Walaikum salam. Can you give? Okay. Okay, I get the permission to rename. Hmm. Can you please send the community link? Yes, sure. Give me a moment. Okay, I sent the chat. Okay, let's start. So basically, we stopped at last week. We did the page number 8 question, and before that itself, we are done with this 2019's array part. The while loop we have completed. Let's go for question B and C. So this page number. Those who have the tute, it's on page number 9. Those who don't have the tutor can look at the questions I'm sharing here. And I told you to maintain a separate book for the paper classroom, so you can answer it there. I want you to answer the question B and question C. I'll give you 5 minutes is enough. Yeah, this is 2019 paper only. 2019's first one we did. The array question we have done. In the first day of the class, I reckon we did that. We are on the timer. Okay, the timer is on. Once you're done with this question, the question B and C, raise your hands up in Zoom. So technically, 5 minutes means 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Are we supposed to B and C both in 5 minutes? Yeah, actually, C will take only few seconds. C is nothing. This is the 19 paper. This is page number 9. People have any questions? Drop in the chat. Once done, raise your hands up in Zoom. In this decision box we have is k not equal to 4. Is k not equal to 4? It's called the not equal operator. But no, the five of you have done this for now. Only seven. Okay, let's check your answers. Identify and write down the correct statements for P, Q, and R in the flowchart on the right. This is drawn using the above pseudocode. Okay, so there's a pseudocode given. So based on the pseudocode, there's a flowchart drawn. It seems they're asking to fill in the blanks. Now, if you look at the question, they're asking to find what is P, what is Q, and what is R. Okay, P is actually a decision box here. Normally, decision box are used to mention a condition. Okay, and Q is, you can see they have used a rectangle here. It means it's referring a process. And R is used over parallelogram, which means representing either an input statement or as an output statement. Now, if you look at the flow chart, we are beginning the program, we are assigning two values for two different variables, and then we are checking a condition is k not equal to 4. After we check this condition is k not equal to 4, P is the next condition we're going to check. Okay, and if that condition is true, okay, if the condition is true, you're saying value is equal to AK. Similarly, when you come and check the pseudocode given, the pseudocode, this value equals AK is there here in this line. Okay, in this line, you can see value equals AK is there. And before that, you can see there's a condition they have mentioned. So that condition they have mentioned is what if AK is less than value. So therefore, P has to be is you can mention is AK also. You can directly mention like this is AK less than value. You can just mention the condition with the question mark, or as if you want, you can mention in front is as well. That's also fine. Okay. So that's what P is. How many of you got that correct? Raise your hands up. Let's see. Just it's given in the previous pseudocode. You just have to look at the pseudocode and just write it down here. An easy question. If you had doubts, drop the chat. Huh? Now let's go for Q. I forgot to say I got 9,250. Good job, good job. Cool. If you got it correct, put 1 mark there. Huh? Next. Q is representing this one here, the process here, and that you come to that process after this value equals AK. So after value equals AK, the process you're going to come is K equals K plus 1. So Q is representing K equals K plus 1. Again, I got that answer from the flow chart here. If your answer is correct there as well, put 1 mark there. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. Huh? Next, if you look at the R is in the final. You can see once the loop is completely over, just before the program ends, there's a R, which is either an input or output. Again, if you come and look at the program, after the end while, just before the program ends, there's an output statement called display value. So therefore, R is representing display value. Yes. Sorry, man. And we have found what is P, we have found what is Q, and we have results R. Put 1 mark each and tell me out of 3 marks, how many marks are it? So what is K doing there? K is this one. K is used as the index. See, K has a value K equals 1. And at the end of every loop, the value of K is increasing. Exactly. Very easy question. Just look at the flow. It's like a fill in the blank. Look at the pseudocode in the previous question. Write the answer here. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. This is an easy one. Next. Redraw the array A and its content after the following assignments are carried out on the array A. No. K is used as to know which index we are in. Actually, if you want to know what K is doing, you have to be there in the discussion of this while loop. I discussed this while loop on the day one the paper class. K is just this one. Initially, K is you can see 1 here. At the end of every loop, the value of K increases. So they are asking to redraw the array with that updated content. So let's first of all draw the exact array value. So if it is the exact current array A has 4 indexes. 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, index 0, index 1, index 2. Yes, sorry. Index 3, index 4. And then initially the values, if you see, it is 80, 100, 70, and each of the value. So then in every loop, here you can see AK, right? When you say in this what do you call the condition P, we have something called AK, right? That will replace K with the K's value. So first time when the loop is running, the value of K was 1. So it will go and check the value of A1 less than value. The second time the loop runs, this statement will increase the value of K. So second time you will be checking is A2 less than value, something like that. Correct. Then 65 and 95. These were the initial value as per the question. And then they are saying they're going to do these operations, which means they're going to do assignment means giving a value, like assigning a value. So once the assignment is done, A1 is 45, it seems. So that means this is going to be A1. Instead of 100, there's going to be 45 here. And A2 is going to be 88. And A4 is going to be 72. So 88 and 72. So once you do these assignments, the updated array is going to look like what I have drawn like this. Put 1 mark each. If your A0 is correct, 1 mark. If your A1 is correct, 1 mark. If your A2 is correct, 1 mark. If your A3 is correct, 1 mark. If your A4 is correct, 1 mark. And tell me out of 5 marks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Out of 5 marks, how many marks I got here? For that question C. It is not a 5 marks question, but let's say it was a 5 marks question. I drew like the one which is the above instead of putting the A in a side. That's fine. We can put A0, A1, that's just fine. Not a problem. As long as A is mentioned and the numbers are also mentioned and the values are mentioned. Good job. Majority of you have got five. Some of you have got four. There's any questions, let me know. 2017 paper, 19 paper was easy paper. Why did they make the paper so easy? Ah, okay, there's a Roman number two as well. Interesting. Again, triangle. It's like Malayalam, exactly. Last week was there was a triangle question. No, last week is to find if it's a triangle. Here, if it's equal a triangle. Interesting. I'll give you 5 minutes to do this question. Again, it's easy question. Huh? They made this paper so easy. 29 burglars are very lucky. I'll put all of your hands down. Once you're done, raise your hands up. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat. Find what type of triangle. Yeah. Sorry, find what type of triangle. Those who are done, raise your hands up in Zoom. Okay, time is up. Let's check your answer. What 20 of you have done? A triangle with all three sides of equal length is called an equilateral triangle. So they have defined basically what's an equilateral triangle. If all three sides of equal length, equilateral triangle, it seems. A triangle with two sides of equal length is called an isosceles triangle. A triangle with all sides of different length is called a scalene triangle. Okay, they have defined the three types of triangle. So you can't tell. I don't. We don't know what do you call how to identify triangles. You can't tell because they have already given it there. The following flowchart labels PQR determines if a given triangle is an equilateral triangle, isosceles or scalene. Okay, let's figure it out. First instruction you're saying read side length L1, L2, L3, which means what you're doing is the three sides of a triangle, you're taking them as L1, L2, and L3. First of all, you're checking is L1 equal to L2. Okay. So basically, it's something like you're checking is this fellow equal to this fellow. And after you check that, you're going to check another condition. And if that condition is true, you're saying it's an equilateral triangle. Okay. So what you can mention for P is now to confirm it's equilateral triangle. First of all, you check is L1 equal to L2, right? So if these two are equal, now you should see are they equal to L3, right? Therefore, the label P has to represent is L1 equal to L3. If you want, you can mention is L1 equal to L3, or you can also mention is L2 equal to L3. Both of these instructions are correct. If you mention for P is L1 equal to L3, that's also correct. If you mention is L2 equal to L3, that's also correct, right? Because what happens there is you're checking the remaining length. Is it equal to either L1 or either equal to L2? Because already you know both of them are equal. If it's no, if you're coming no here, then what type of triangle it is? Which means L1 and L2 is equal. But when you check is that equal to L3, this was not equal. Then what type of triangle that is? Exactly. If two sides are equal, the third side is not equal, we call them as what type of triangle? Yes, we call them as isosceles triangle. So I'm going to mention a display. For Q, I'm going to mention a display isosceles triangle. Is it okay if we write as is L2 equal to 3? Yeah, you can mention is if that's also fine. I just mentioned minimal what you are mentioned. The display isosceles triangle. Next, if you take label R, now you're checking here is L1 equal to L2. Are these two sides equal? If it's no, you're going to check is L2 equal to L3. Okay. If that is also no, you're going to check is L1 equal to L3. Right. If all three are no, L1 is also not equal to L2, L2 is not equal to L3, L1 is not equal to 3. All three sides are not equal to each other. None of the sides are equal to each other. Then what do you think in R we are a display? Display what? It's a what type of triangle? None of the sides are equal to each other. Exactly. If none of the sides are equal to each other, it's called a scalene triangle. So display scalene triangle. Again, a very easy question. I pity the 2019 buggers, man. They got a bloody easy. Anyways, put 1 mark if you got your P correct, put 1 mark if you got your Q correct, and 1 mark if you got your R correct. And tell me out of 3 marks, how many marks you'll get. Not bad. All of you got three. I hope we get something like this. Nah, they'll give you all hard questions. Inshallah. It's being hard questions is a thrill. What is the thrill you get when doing easy questions? Next. Exactly. Imad, I heard that you went for art competition. Did you come? Okay, 2020 paper. In this paper, following one similarity, okay, the following flowchart is drawn to calculate according to the following. Copy down the flowchart and fill in the blanks label. Okay, for this question, you don't have to copy down the flowchart. I'll just give some labels, just write what those labels are. Those who have the you can mention this label. Magic Kimad. It will be even more thrill when results come. Yes. Label this as A, label this as B, label this as C, label this as D, label this as E, label this as F, G, H, I, J. Okay, do this labeling and just write what is A, what is B, what is C. That will make your work easy. Nothing more what your police. What do you call redraw the whole flowchart? Yeah. Do the Roman number one and Roman number two. I'll give you 10 minutes is too much, 5 minutes is too less. I'll give you 8 minutes. Again, 8 minutes is also too much if you're very good at programming, but yeah. I'll give you 8 minutes and I'll put all of your hands down. Once you're done, raise your hands up. Let's see. Yes, Sumant. Question is to copy the flowchart. I said not to copy the flowchart, just write what does label A, B, C, D, E, F, G mean. Do you want to copy the flow? This was just so jobless, copy it. I thought to make your work easy, I give those labels, man. Anyways, do both, Roman number one, Roman number two, both. And once you're done, raise your hands up in Zoom. Then draw. What a dedication time. Keep it up. Umair, check page number 11. In the paper class program booklet, kill would have got a booklet, right? like a tube without a garbage. That one. I don't know what cricket. Sorry. When did he say the remarks? We'll have 1 more minute remaining. Those who are done, raise your hands up in Zoom. Okay, time up. Should we do one as well? Yeah, I mean, that's why I've circled both. These questions are easy. Yeah, oral questions are easy. Anyways, once we're done with the oral questions, we'll be going to provincial. Those are interesting. Provincial and school exams. Write one similarity and one difference between variables and constants in a computer program. Okay. So if you take variables and constants, right? In terms of similarity, the similarity is a purpose, right? What is the purpose of both of them? If you take variables and constants, why do we use them? What's the purpose of them? In a program, we use variables, constants, all those stuffs too. Correct. Correct. No, identifier is the name of them. Name is the identifier. But what is the purpose? Exactly. The purpose of say variables and constants are to store values. So the similarity you have to mention there is to store values within the program. If you just mention store values also fine, but better mention store values within the program. Should the output be in a single inverted comma or a double inverted comma in a flowchart? That is not a problem. Single, double, not a problem. Store data, data is also fine. Store data, store values, anything is fine. But better mention within the program because in a program, you can store data within the program. You can store out of the program as well. So within the program, if you want to store, there are three methods. One is variables, one is constants, one is arrays. Arrays again is a type of variable, so no problem. In terms of difference, there is a significant difference between a variable and constant. If you take a variable, okay, it can store values temporarily or permanently. The value will not change with the program is executed. Not value changes, value can be changed. Okay. So the difference between them is if you take a variables, the value of a variable, you can change it within the program. But if you take constant, the value of the constant, can you change it within the program? After you set a value, again in the middle of the program, can you go and change the value of constants? No. So how you mention the difference is you have to mention the difference as variables values can be modified. Values can be modified within the program. And next year mention values of constants cannot be modified after it's set. It's set means we are given a value for it. Once after you give value for it, you can again change the value within the program. Okay. Constant values of constants cannot be modified after it's set within the program. Whatever within the program means middle of the program. Like for example, if I have a variable called x, if I say x equals 5, in the next line, if I say x equals 7, now what will happen is there was a variable called x. Initially, it was storing 5, and now we have erased the 5 and we are storing is 7. Okay, that's how what you call variables work. So values of variables you can modify. So if I go and mention display x here, it's going to display 7. I put variables can be changed and constant value can't be changed. Add the word within the program and give your marks correct. I put doesn't change and constant change. Doesn't change and constantly change. No, it does not automatically change. It's just that you have the ability to be changed. In variables, you have the ability to change. Can be modified. Yeah, cannot be modified. Not that automatically it gets changes. I didn't mention after being set. At that part called after being set and give marks. I wrote can store one value for variable and can store more than one value for constant. No, that's array. Array only can store more than one value. You have mixed array and variables. Array is a type of variable. Now, if the same thing was a constant, okay, if x was actually a constant, if you say x equals 5, then x will be stored in the value of 5. When you go and say x equals 7, this will give you an error. The error will be like the value of a constant can't be modified. So if you say display x, it's going to display 5. This display x will display 7. So that's the difference between a variable and a constant. Got it? So if you had mentioned the similarity correct, put 1 mark. If you had mentioned the difference correct, if you had mentioned variables can be modified, the values of variables can be modified in program, 1 mark. Values of constants cannot be modified in the program, 1 mark. Out of 3 marks, tell me how many marks I got. How can I get the tunes? I'm a new student. If you're coming for the theory class, if you have purchased the theory class, if you're coming for the theory class physically, then you'll be getting along with the theory class tute. Automatically for free, you'll be getting the paper class tute. If you're going to come only for the paper class, you can obtain the PDF version from the group. I'll send you a link. You can just join that group. And but if you're attending my theory classes, then you'll be getting this paper class tutes along with the theory class tute. Okay. Let me know your marks, all of you. If you're coming for the theory class, then you get this printed version for free. If you're not coming, then yes, you have to print it. Good job. Majority of you got 3. Some of you got 1, 2. That's fine. Those who could not get 3, those who got 1 and 2, are clear about the correct answer? I put variables while constant's value does not change. What do you mean can while? Do you mean can change? How to put marks? Can change. I put variables value can change, value constants value does not change. It's not that does not change, man. It's that within the program you can't modify. So just add these fill in words and give marks only for difference because you're not put the similarity. No? You can give full marks for difference. For previous question, how many marks? 1 mark each, 3 marks. Okay, next. Roman number 2. Then give the marks respectively. The following flowchart is drawn to calculate the average marks and display the grades when marks M1, M2, M3. So there are 3 subjects marks, M1, M2, M3 of 3 subjects are given as input. The grades are decided according to the following table. So there is a, what do you call, table here, which tells you how the grades are decided. Let's come to that. Now, first of all, you're going to read the 3 marks. Read means read, the word read is used to signify the idea of input. Okay, so if they mention here the word called read, the meaning of this word called read is input. So they're asking input 3 marks, basically M1, M2, and M3, the 3 subjects marks. After you input the 3 subjects marks, what has to be calculated? Because based on this calculation, you can decide the grade, right? So what has to be calculated here? In that statement A, what has to be calculated? Perfect. You have to calculate the average. So for that, what you can do is you can create a variable called ABG. Again, the reason I'm using the variable's name as ABG is because you can see in the question, they have told you the average marks is going to be considered as ABG. The 3 subjects marks is going to be considered as M1, M2, M3. Yeah? That's why I'm going to use ABG there. So I'm going to say average marks or ABG is going to be equal to, and I'm going to tell practically how you calculate the average marks. So if there are 3 subjects marks, how you calculate the average marks? You add the 3 subjects marks like this, and then you divide by 3. So I'm saying ABG is going to be equal to M1 plus M2 plus M3 divided by 3. This is how the label A represent. Is that clear? If you have any questions, drop in the chat. Others, if your answer is correct, mark it correct and give 1 mark there. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. Huh? Next. After you calculate the average marks, there is a condition you're going to check. And based on this condition, you're going to decide a specific grade. Right? If you look at the flow chart, you have here mentioned the condition how to get B. You have mentioned here how to get C. So what is the most suitable idea for this label called C? C is representing the displaying which grade? Like based on what you can see. Again, we can't assure the answer is correct, but based on what you can see here, what do you think the label C is representing? But if you write average, only half marks will get there. Because the question has mentioned that you use the word AVG. Well, I'll give 1 mark now. Now you mark 1 mark, but do the correction, make it AVG. Just pay attention to the question. Huh? Is it wrong if we say calculate average? If you mention calculate AVG, fine. Again, the word average is wrong because the question has specified to use AVG variable name. So for now you give marks, but next time don't make that mistake. Exactly. The label C is representing display the A grade. Okay. So let's say I first of all go and mark that will display A. Let's say the label C is representing display A. Now, if label C is represent display A, you can see as per the table, if a student has to get the grade A, his average marks has to be greater than or equal to 80. So for the label B, I'm saying to check is average greater than or equal to 80. You can mention in front is so, if for, nothing is also fine. But yeah, is average greater than or equal to 80 is the label for B. For that, should I use marks or average? Nicely open your eyes and see what have they told you. Who has to be more than 80? The average marks. Instead of putting AVG, can I put X? Again, I don't know how has this question given the marking scheme. But if you look at this question, they have given the variable names. So better stick with variable name. For today, you give the marks, but don't repeat this. Now, if it is the second time I'm doing a similar question, I'll not be giving you all marks. But the first time I'm just telling you all, I'll be giving you all marks. Again, I can't guarantee how the examiners be because it will be depending on the marking scheme. If you are getting a good examiner, they'll be giving you any answers possible. But you can see, right, they have given you clearly. When they say 3 subjects marks, in the brackets, they mention M1, M2, M3. When they say average marks, they mention AVG. So why should, you have to ask yourself, why should they mention that in AVG in brackets? Why did they mention M1, M2, M3? So they have given you the variable names clearly. Now, let's say Sri Lanka has created an automatic system where it marks your paper using a, what do you call, machine. So in that machine, if we have, what do you call, in that system, let's say we have told, okay, the program has to be AVG is equal to this. So if you go and mention the average is equal to this, that machine will give you a lot of marks. Again, that's, let's say, advanced version of Sri Lanka, which I think might take time. But stick to the question. No, you have to put AVG. So if you wrote any other answers, cut that. I mean, for now you give marks, but next time just mention AVG. Yeah? Can we put A is greater or equal to 80? What is A, man? We don't know what is A. We have to define the value of A. So say that means that in this first label you mentioned, A is equal to M1 plus M2 plus. Sham, it's okay, but don't repeat it. I wrote value instead of AVG addition. I didn't. No, because in the label A, we are calculating whatever you do, that dot here on your right there as well. If you wrote here AVG, then here also has to have AVG. If you wrote anything else, for today, fine, but don't repeat that because the question is clearly mentioned here. For label B, I should put is average marks more than 80. Greater than or equal to 80, not just greater than or equal to, and it's not just in text. This is how you write it. Got it? The variable name you used in the previous one, greater than or equal to. I put marks. Nope. Basically, the variable name you used in the first one, that variable name only has to be used in the second one as well. If those two variable name does not match, you don't get the marks. Then label D. So if you can see when that condition B is yes, you're going to the right hand side. So if it's going down, what do you think label D has to be? AVG is more suitable, but if you wrote average marks, that's fine, is what I said, honey. Exactly. D has to be no. Is it compulsory to put M1 plus M2 plus M3 divided by 3? I would calculate average marks of the 3 subjects. Good question. Depends on the marking scheme. I'll tell you one thing. Let's say you're getting a news. And the news is like uh, and the news is like, let's say, I'm thinking of example where I can probably use it. Okay. Let's say you're getting a news, and the news is like those who have Rizlan's buying a car. Wow, that's a good news. Okay, let's say what do you call there's a news thing. If you have a car, then you are eligible to what do you call get a free trip to or free entry to, let's say, to an amusement park, or let's say free entry to a, where do you think you have to go? To the jungle. Okay. If you have a car, you have free entry to jungle. Okay, there's a news going on. Now, let's say in your notebook, you went and wrote a message. I wish I have a car. You have written a message. No, are you eligible to go for the, or let's say you went and wrote, I have a car. Just because you wrote that in your notebook, are you eligible to go to the jungle now? No, because why? You don't have the product. Simply, you don't have the product. What is the purpose of pseudocode and flowchart? Basically, it's algorithm. It's algorithm showing how the program runs. Simply saying how the program runs. I mean, it has a step-by-step instructions on how the program works. So if you have not mentioned there how the program works, then what's the purpose of the algorithm? You're writing baby algorithms. Okay. What you're writing is an algorithm, but you're writing is instruction manual. So be precise in your algorithm. One of the main purpose of algorithm is where your process is clearly explained. The main purpose of algorithm is to clearly show your process. Okay. If the process is not clear, there is no purpose in algorithm. It's like I'm coming and telling you what do you called how can I put it? Like I'm coming and telling you, like let's say you're coming and asking me your marks. So when you come and ask me your marks, I'll be like, you have got a good mark. Or I'm coming and say you have got what you called you have passed your exam. Okay. You're coming and asking me what you're asking me your marks. When you come and ask me your marks, if I go and say you have got a good marks, you have got passed your exam, that's not answering your question. The question is the value. So make sure you're sticking to the question. If you just mention calculate average, some people might give you marks. I will not give marks. So if you just mention calculate average, I will not give marks. Again, certain marking schemes give marks because they consider you all as babies. Because baby level algorithms, they do give marks for that. Like check if number is odd or even. That is what baby level algorithm. Right? In your level of algorithm, you should know the logic of how to find if a number is odd or even. You can't just mention if number is odd. You can't write that in text. That's not a proper algorithm. Exactly. Label E. Label E. Label E. Okay. Before we come for label E, let's see what's label F. Okay. Label F is leading to the display B. So if you want to get display B, basically if you want to get your marks as B, that means your average marks has to be less than 80 or greater than or equal to 65. Less than 80 or greater than 65. Now, for the label B, the condition we wrote is average greater than or equal to 80. Okay. The condition we wrote there is average greater than or equal to 80. Now tell me if I'm coming to the label F. Okay. If I'm coming to the label F, that means now is my average marks more than 80 or is my average marks equal to 80 or is my average marks less than 80? If I am coming to this condition, okay, if I am coming to this condition, that means now is my average marks more than 80 or is my average marks equal to 80 or is my average marks less than 80? In which situation will I even come to that F condition? Exactly. Only if it's less than 80, right? Because if it's more than 80, you'll be going the yes direction. If it's equal to 80 also, I'll be going the X direction. If you're coming down and going to this label F, that means your marks is definitely less than 80. So when they say if your average marks less than 80 or and greater than or equal to 65, is it compulsory to check this as well? Should we go and check is it less than 80 in that label F? No, we don't have to check it because definitely if you come in there, obviously your marks is less than 80. Okay, if you come in there, your marks is less than 8 no. So therefore, we don't have to go and check that. We can check only the next condition, which is your average marks greater than or equal to 65. So I can write the condition there is your average marks greater than or equal to 65. Just only this condition. Don't mention that is average marks less than 80. Okay? Don't mention that. Just mention only this. If you mention both, just cut there and keep only this as your answer and give 1 mark. Okay. I hope you understood why I said you don't have to mention that. The reason you don't have to mention that is because, again, if you're coming to this condition, definitely your marks are less than 80. So that is the thing that is unnecessary if you mention. Again, if there's any questions, drop in the chat. Huh? So when you go and check, is average marks less than or equal to 65? Sorry, F. For the label F, your condition has to be is AVG less than or equal to 65. 65 is less than or equal to average. Is it okay? Wrong. Give this is wrong actually. Wrong means program will work, but it's like a grammatical mistake. They will not. It will not give you the program will be running, but technically it's wrong, right? Because what you're doing here, you're checking here is average. What do you called? Now this condition will give it true only if average is more than 65, right? Because opposite of less than, if you're saying here is 65 less than or equal to average. So if you're saying is 65 less than or equal to average, the meaning of that is you're checking is 65 less than average, right? Is 65 less than average or is 65 equal to average? That's the meaning of this. But is that what we're checking here? No, no. We're checking here is average more than 65, not is average less than 65. You're checking here is average. You're checking here is average more than 65, but here we're checking is average less than 65. So your program will not give an error in function running, but there's a logical error here. I mean, and don't swap the symbols. First of all, mention the variable name. Second, mention the value. That's the correct method. I actually wrote 80 and 65 and average in the middle. Wrong. You can't mention that. There is no conditions like that. Go to your tute, see the topic called operators. And operators, did we learn an operator where you can use both like this? Like, did we learn operator like, did we learn any operator like this? Where you can use two operators together. You can't use two operators together. Sorry. Is average greater than or equal to 65? It's not greater, man. It's less than or equal to 65. Read. Do you have an English problem? Wait. Question is correct. I did a mistake. You all should have corrected me, wait. Wow, fellow Soliola. The question is basically greater than or equal to 65. Wait, I am wrong. Sorry, sorry, sorry. The question is said here, is it greater than or equal to 65? You were focusing on this fellow's pro question, man. I was answering this bugger's question. Anyways, yeah, this your question. Swapping that and writing, you get the marks, but don't do that. Huh? And writing like this is not correct. Writing like this is not correct. You can't put two conditions together. In certain programming language, it will work. In majority of the programming language, it will not work. So for the safe side, we don't put multiple conditions together. Why can't we use both together? In certain programming language, that's not allowed. So in the safe side, normally we write pseudocode, which can be used for any programming language. We don't write pseudocode that can be used only for one type of programming language. So if you're writing both together, in majority of the programming language, that is not allowed. You can't mention both like that. So that's why it's not allowed. So if you want to write like, you use and or operator. Anyways, it should be is average greater than or equal to 65. Okay, Hamra. Yes, Sadhika, correct. Acceptable. Sigma, correct. Talha, correct. Then Halima, you can't put that. Perfect. There is one pseudocode we did in class like that. No, I don't think so. If it's that, that's not a correct pseudocode. E. Label E is representing yes, and label G is representing no. So yes, and G is representing no. Total, how many labels are there? J. So Hij. Like in the sign, we have a small stripe below to show it is also equal. We don't that have that in the computer. We are writing a pseudocodes which can be typed in the computer. We don't have a symbol like this in the computer. We have like this and like this. So this is how you mention it, not like this. This is wrong, this is correct. It is complete, right? Because we don't have to check the less than or 80 part. The reason is because if you're coming to F, definitely you're less than 80. That's what I was explaining. Anyways, the label I is to decide is your marks equal to C. So to get C marks, your marks has to be less than 65 and greater than or equal to 650. Okay, again, same logic I'm going to use here as well. In the previous question, you were checking is average marks more than, greater than or equal to 65. So tell me, will you be coming to the label I? Okay, will you come to the label I if your average is more than 65? If the average marks is more than 65, will you be coming there? By putting that, will it be considered as incorrect, less than 80? If you're putting the less than 80, this is how you have to put the less than 80. Is average less than 80 and average greater than or equal to 65. If you write like this, you're correct. If you mention like this, you're wrong. Huh? If you mention like 80 is greater than average is greater than 6 equals to 12. If you mention like this, it's wrong. This is correct. Wherever you can't mention like that. Or is also wrong. It should be and. The question is mentioned here, and can't you see and here? Label I is talking. Okay, to come to label I, if average marks is more than 65, will you come? No. If average marks equal to 65, will you come to the label I? Can you come to the label I if your average marks is equal to 65? Again, no. Because why? F will give you true and you will be going to the right hand side. But if your average marks is less than 65, now will you be coming to what do you call the label I? Yes. So for you to come to label I, apart from average marks being less than 65, are there any other possibilities? Basically, the other two possibilities are these two. Okay, the previous question is checking that. Okay. So if you're coming to label I, definitely average marks less than 65. If it's more than 65, you can't come there as per the given previous steps. Okay. So therefore, checking this is not needed. Less than 65 checking is not needed. You can directly check, is it greater than or equal to 50? So if you go and check, is it greater than or equal to 50? That's for label I. Is average greater than or equal to 50 kilo? You can mention here the condition. Okay. And then if that condition is true, you're going to go for the H. And yeah, I forgot to give you the label. Oh, no, that's already given. No, it's already given. So definitely, label H is going to be yes. Can we put AVG is greater than or equal to 50? That's what I mentioned here. You mean in text? No, use operators. Don't mention in text, mention like this. In text is wrong. You use operators. Next question, J. If that is also no, that means otherwise, what should happen? Display no grade. So J has to be display no grade. Put 1 mark each and tell me out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Out of 10 marks, how much I got here? And if you have any questions, drop your questions in the chat. Okay, good job. If there's any questions, drop in the chat. Let's go for the next one. I got all correct, but the way I put it is wrong. I drew it unwanted. This one. What would be the values of P, Q, R, and SNT after executing the following pseudocode? This is easy. I think in the, well, Colonna, we already did this question, but that's fine. Or shall we go for another one? Okay, do this question. I'll give you 5 minutes. The timer is on. I put all of your hands down. Once you're done with this question, raise your hands up and so. Good. Those who are done with this question, raise your hands up. I use a crocodile mouth thing for the greater than or equal to. That's what you should use, man. If you use only the like this average is greater than 50. This checks only if the value is greater. If you want to check greater than or equal to, then you have to mention greater than symbol, equal symbol, both. So the question was talking about greater than or equal to. You have to mention both. There's another way you can represent that as well, but that's unnecessary. Do this all of you. I put the line below the crocodile. Ah, that you can't do. You can't mention like this. This is not a valid operator. You want to check your tute. We learned about something called operators in the programming lesson, the second or third page after Pascal program. Hey, by the way, I'm still sorting the programming recordings. I didn't still send you all that list, but those who want this ones, the programming recordings, this was the list. I'll send you all this list later. I'm making a website to access these recordings. But date-wise, if you take these are the recordings respective to each things we learned. I'll share this in the class group. So technically, we learned about operators on the online class on 27th. Go and check that recording. You can see. I'll send all this recording later. I was actually doing it. We can access without y'all can because y'all attended the theory class. But I'm still making a website for that to access, right? Then I have the links. I'll be publishing it in a separate website and I'll give you all separate login credential. There's lots of things coming. I'm cooking lots of things inside once everything's cooked. I gave Rizlan to taste it. Once he tastes things and tells me, after that I'll give you all to put to eat. Value equals value. So is this symbol multiplication? Yes, multiplication. Talking about cooking Rizlan, so it's praising. What was he praising about? When will you start the W2A program? That is once we're done with the 6 lessons, probably uh, in June, So in June, July, August, September, October. We are done with the second lesson. We'll be started third lesson next week. So third lesson, fourth lesson, fifth lesson, sixth lesson. Probably in the middle of or end of October. October we might start it. He was saying he and his wives are planned to adopt you. The parents Shafna says that. I mean, his wife says that. Will we be doing great? Lesson once we're done with programming. That's probably next month, inshallah. Okay, let's check your answers. Your time is up. Yes, comparing us. Where are you all kidding? Sheesh. Man is doing lots of cool and unwanted things. Why has he already found so much? That bug is jobless these days, I guess. Already find too much in the class. Anyways, consider the following array A, which contains zeros in all. He would have told about my purse, or something. Didn't tell about my purse. It's there behind. What do you call it? Okay, what would be the values P, Q, R, S, and T after executing the following pseudocode of array A? Let's check. So in this program, there's a variable called value. I'm drawing here something called as a dry run. To draw the dry run, you look at this code and you see what are the variables you have and what are the conditions you have first. So you have a variable called value, you have a variable called K, you have a variable called AK. I don't have to mention AK because I'm not going to mention AK as a what do you call column here. The reason is because when you say AK, we're representing to array A and the value of this K variable. So it can be A0, A1 like that. No. So without mentioning the value as a separate column here, I'll directly mention the values here. Okay. That'll make my work easy. So I'm not going to have AK as a column. Again, the same variable value, same variable called K. Yeah, sorry, two variables we have. In terms of conditions, we have a condition to check is K less than 5. And then is there any output in this program? No outputs. So this is how you have the, what do you call the dry runs columns. Let's start filling this by going through the program. The first one is saying value equals 2, so I write 2 here. Second one is saying K equals 0, so I'm going to write 0 here. Next, repeat AK equals value. When you say AK equals value, array A, index K, that is equal to value it seems. Now, what is the value of K? K is 0. That means array A, index 0's amount is going to be equal to value. Value is equal to how much? Value equals 2. So, array A, index 0, that is equal to 2. So, in label P, I go and mention there, the value is actually 2. Up to there, is that clear all of you? What happened? Yes or no? If there is any question specific, please mention your question in the chat so I can address them here itself. So once you're done with this instruction, the next instruction is saying value is equal to value into 5. Currently value is 2. So value into 5 means 2 times 5. And 2 times 5 becomes how much? 10. So value is going to be equal to 10. Can you explain that again? Yes, sure. If you look at the program here in the repeat until loop, the first instruction was saying AK equals value. Normally in an equation, whenever you see equal symbol, you know that's equation. In equation, always we give a value for the left-hand side variable. So when you mention a AK equals value, that means we are giving a value to AK. So if you say AK, the meaning of this word AK is basically, whenever you see the square brackets, just keep in mind, okay, square brackets mean they're talking about arrays. So there is an array called A, like this. You can see this down, you have mentioned it. There's an array called A, and in different index, they have mentioned different values. Like index 0 has one value, index 1 has another value, index 2 has another value, like that. Okay. So we're going to find out in index K. So you might be wondering, K is not a number now. Then how can you say that as index? So if you notice in this program, you can see there's a variable called K. So K is holding a number, right? So at the moment when you say AK equals value, we are meaning to array A index 0. And from where did the 0 come? That was the value of K, which we had specified here. So we are saying array A index 0, that one's value is going to be equal to the variable value. And what was the amount of variable value? That was 2. So that's how array A index 0 got the amount as 2. Got it? There's any questions on the chat? So next one is k equals k plus 1. So we are saying the value of k is going to be equal to k plus 1. Always keep in mind, when you have something like this, I told you we are giving the value for the left-hand side. So you can remember this as like this. The new value of k is going to be equal to the current value of k plus 1. So currently the value of k is 0. So based on that, tell me, what do you think the new value of k is going to be? 0 plus 1 basically. What's the new value of k? Yes, the new value of k is going to be 1. So I write 1 here. And then we are going to go and check this condition, is k less than 5. Then you go and check 1. Is 1 less than 5? Yes or no? Is 1 less than 5? True. Now remember about how I say no, man. Imagine you have one toffee, your friend has 5 toffees. And if you go and ask, do you have one? I mean, do you have toffees less than your friend? Yes, right. You have less. Do you have less toffees? Yes, you have less. 1 is less than 5. So that condition is true. Now tell me, when you take a repeat until loop, I told repeat until loop is like asking permission from your parents. When you're asking permission from your parents and to go out, let's say, and they say yes, will you again ask permission? You're asking permission, can I go? And they're like, okay, yes, you can go. So if they say yes, you can go, will you again go and ask permission, can I go? No, you stop asking permission. But if they say no, you go and ask, can I go out? Kill you asking your parents. And if they say no, will you stop asking or will you again ask? Exactly. If they say no, you're going to again repeat. Again, you're going to ask, can I go? Can I go? Can I go? Will you again be repeating the same thing whenever they say no, right? So repeat until loop, it will repeat. Okay, you will repeat the instructions inside. Again, you will go and repeat only if that condition is false. Okay, but here you can see condition is true. So the loop stops. The next instruction we have is end. So the program end. Now, if you read the question properly, the question initially said these were the initial values of the array A. And they asked you, after you follow this algorithm, after you follow this pseudo code, what will be the new values of the arrays? Has the value of QRST, did it get changed in the program? Basically, the value of array index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4. Have those value got changed? Up to now, where the program ended up, by the time we ended the program, did we change the value of index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4? No, I changed only index 1. So before the program started, what was their values? The values were 0. So 0, 0, 0, 0. P is equal to Q is equal to 0, R is equal to 0, S is equal to 0, and T is equal to 0. Put 1 mark each and tell me how many marks I got in the chat. If you have any questions, drop those questions in the chat as well. I saw it as until k is greater than 5. I know you saw it like that. Majority saw it like that only. I'm pretty sure majority got this wrong. Easy question, unknowingly got it wrong. Tell me out of 5 marks, how many marks have I got? I did the same question or similar question at Colon now. So if anyone there gets this wrong, that means you were not there in the class that day. Anyone having any questions here? If there's any question, let me know. I know for this question, majority of people are going to get 1 out of 5. Was absent and you didn't send me. Sorry, Shimsa. Ah, no, there is no recording for that, Shimsa. Because I did this only for physical. I did not do it for online. Online was I did not do, below was I did not do. That's why I wouldn't have sent to the record. Can't they give a disclaimer when they're giving an easy question? What else? See how easy this question was. I got Q equals 10, R equals 50. That means you would have forgotten this Q is less than 5. Why? Because you all had more time. Anyways, um, This is an easy question. I'll give you all around 3 minutes. Answer this question. They could have made it bold. Why? I did all the calculations of a jobless people. This is an easy question. There is nothing to program. Just have to go through the program and see what is the meaning of this purpose of this program and what will happen if the counter equals. This was I think Corona was already. Anyways, do this question. I'll give you 3 minutes. I'm gonna put all of your hands down. Once you're done, raise your hands up. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. Actually, it's not about luck. It's just that their classes did not get cancelled. Online, whenever one of your class got cancelled and you all went behind 1 week. So I did questions there and I made all of it equal. Show the previous question. Yeah. Done? Then programming is not repeating, right? What do you mean not repeating? In that question, the previous question read. Yeah, in that question, there is no, the program is not repeating. Is count the same as count? In this program, only count is used. You can give any name you want. Which repetition has one heading automatically? For loop. Waking up after a break. You'll have just 10 seconds remaining. What will 5 have done? Yeah. Easy question. Time up. Let's check your answer. Please, first one. What is the exact purpose of the above pseudocode? So when you ask exact purpose, basically what's happening in the pseudocode? Huh? If you look at the pseudocode, you have variable counter. Okay, if there's a while loop, there's a repetition. And then after the interpretation is over, you're displaying X. Okay. So let's see what is X holding now. If you want to find the purpose, the thing is find what is X. If you know what is X, that means you know the purpose of the programmer. So display enter number. Once you write display enter number, your reading number means you're going to get that number. Fine. Then X is equal to X plus num. Initially X is 0. Then the number the user gives, you're going to add that. Okay, fine. So like initially there's an empty box and you're asking the user number and you're going to enter that number inside. Okay. Then counter equals counter plus 1. Fine. So when counter is 0, you're going to follow the instruction. And when counter is 1, you're going to follow. Counter is 2, you're going to follow until count is less than 20. So less than 20 value of count is going to increase by 1. The last instruction says the value of count is going to increase by 1. So initially when count is 0, it's going to become 1 next, 2 after that, 3, 4. That's how the value of count is going to change. When the value of count is less than 20 only, you're going to continue the loop. Which means when count is 0, is 0 less than 20? Yes. 1 less than 20? Yes. 2 less than 20? Yes. 3 less than 20? Yes. Likewise, if you go and check is 19 less than 20? Yes. Is 20 less than 20? No. So you will be repeating when count is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until count is 19. If you count and see how many times, like how many times we are going to repeat like this. From 0 to 19, there are 20 different numbers. If you count and see from 0 to 19, how many numbers are there? There are 20 numbers. So technically, the instructions inside here are repeating 20 times. So what's repeating 20 times? Getting a number from the user and adding it to the variable x. Getting a number, adding it to the variable x. So the purpose of this program is displaying the sum of 20 random numbers or 20 numbers entered by the user. The word random is not important here, not important. Okay, but others are important. So what's happening here is we're going to get 20 different numbers from the user and we're going to add it to that x variable. So initially x was 0. And whenever the user gave a number, we're going to add that number to x. Say x equals x plus number. So 20 values we're going to add. And once all these 20 values are added, you're displaying x. You're displaying sum of 20 numbers. Should user be there? Yes. Because this can be done by the program itself. Is it correct? Get 20 numbers and display the total of it. Get 20 numbers and display the total of it. Correct. To find the total of 20 numbers. Total of 20 numbers. Either 20, it should be either 20 random numbers or else 20 numbers. Just add the word code entered by the user and give marks. I put to get 20 numbers from the user and display total of them. Correct. So if you had wrote to get 20 numbers and display total, that's also correct. If you had mentioned to find the total of 20 numbers, technically it's not wrong. It's wrong. So for now, you just give marks, but add the word code entered by the user. Because you got to show that those 20 values are not predefined values. Those 20 values are user input values. Is the answer for B? Let me come. Just give me a minute for it. If there's any questions, let me know in the chat. I think I answered all the questions you all asked regarding this. So if you got this part correct, to display the sum of 20 numbers entered by the user, put 2 marks there. No, put 1 mark. 1 mark for 20 numbers entered by the user. 1 mark for displaying sum or total. So if you had mentioned, instead of 20, if you had mentioned 19 or if you had mentioned 21, then your answer is you get only 1 mark. If you had exactly mentioned 20, then you get 2 marks. Huh? Because I'm pretty sure some of you would have mentioned 19 or 21 as well. B. What would happen if the statement count equals count1 plus is removed from the pseudocode? What will happen? There's different answers you can tell, but tell me what are the answers you all wrote. The program will never end, correct? It will loop infinite times, correct? The program will go on forever, correct? The program will not end, correct? The program will repeat the same, at the word code, the same thing. Program will go wrong. That's wrong. Program will not go wrong. Program will work correctly, but it will not stop working. That's the problem. The program will not work. Wrong. The program will work. The thing is, it will not stop. It will keep on working. The value of x remains the same. Wrong. The value of x is not going to be the same. Value of x will change. The value of x will keep on changing. Initially, x will be 0. So let's say you enter number 2. So now we'll add 0 plus 2, 2. The thing is, it will not stop at 20. If you remove that count equals count plus 1, it will not stop at 20 numbers. It will take unlimited number of numbers from you. So value of x will be keeping on changing. Again, it will ask to a number. But the problem is it will not stop. It will not stop asking you a number. Infinite loop. Correct. But be a bit more, what do you call, specific with your answer. Condition will not be satisfied. Condition is satisfied, man. Because the condition is satisfied only, what do you call, the loop is continuing now. If the condition is not satisfied, how will the loop not get, how will the loop not progress? So the possible answers are: one, you can mention the loop will keep on repeating. The loop will keep on repeating without an end. You can simply write this in two words as infinite loop, basically. I have wrote the elaborative word of infinite loop. Infinite loop. Or infinite looping, actually. Or loop takes place. Is one answer. We won't be able to the real expression program. Not exactly true. Because the program will not stop. And you don't know the expectation of the program still. So the loop will keep on repeating without an end. That's one answer. Another answer you can say is the program will not stop. The program will not end or will not stop. The program keeps on asking. The program, no wait, the program will not stop. That's correct. The program will keep on repeating. That's correct. Um, there will be no output. No, no output is not because of this phenomenon. The question is asking what will happen because of this. What is the effect of this statement? No output is an effect of this fellow. No output is an effect of the loop not becoming. Why is there no output? Because the loop is not stopping. So that doesn't have any connection. This affects only the loop not stopping and the program not ending. Yeah, that's the only two answers. The program will not end and the loop will not stop. Simple. Program will continue forever. That's the first answer I mentioned. So the second answer, the program will also not stop means program will keep on rotating forever, running forever. So yeah, that's correct. Sum of 20 numbers or 90 numbers, 20, 20. Count and see from 0 to 19 how many numbers are there. Count and see from 0 to 9 how many numbers there. You'll have 20 numbers. So that's why it's 20 numbers. Okay, so if you had mentioned either one of these two answers, put 1 mark and tell me now out of 3 marks, how many marks you got? Why have you kept a lot of space for the second question? I don't know. I keep space for workings, man, like scribblings basically. See, I have scribbled certain stuffs here, right? Sometimes when I'm explaining, I might just keep on scribbling. So I kept space to scribble. Simple. Ume, what do you mean by E? Let me know 3 marks, 1 mark so much. Okay. For today, actually, we're going to stop from there because it's 6 o'clock. But I think next week we can finish this. No, I think it'll take to finish the paper. It'll take 1 week, 2 weeks. I think maximum 2 or 3 weeks it'll take to finish this. So probably in June we are done with the programming questions, and from mid of June or else July we might start mixed questions. That'll be more interesting. Anyways, with that we're done for the day. If you have any questions, you can stay and ask. Others you can leave. We're done. Should you scribble on that space? Scribble means we're not doing workings. You can do your workings here. Yes, bye bye. Walaikum salam. Hi, sir. My cousin. Class. Had shared your hotline number. Through my account in. Oh, that's fine number. Okay. Bye. You're welcome. Okay. If there's anything further clarifications, it's WhatsApp to this number, and one of our team members might reply a chat, or sometime I might reply a chat. With that said, I'm going to end the meeting. Have a nice day.